Applebee's 2 for $20. Now that's eating good in the neighborhood.
Life is for living. And at First International Bank and Trust, we're all about living, helping your dreams come true. Because we're not just in the banking business. We're in the first home business, the community sponsorship business, the how do I make this happen business, making your banking life easy so you can focus on what matters most. First International Bank and Trust. Live first.
A family farm is, well, different. The cab of a tractor is the CEO's office. Board meetings are held on the bed of Grandpa's pickup. And a conference call is a holler across the yard to hurry your chores, kids, there's homework to be done. A family farm is about family pride as much as profit. Farmers Union Insurance believes this way of life is worth protecting because this isn't just where we work, it's also our family's home. Farmers Union Insurance, simply different.
The Minot Minotauros 10-year jerseys are so cool, everybody wants one. And when we say everybody, we mean everybody.
Frank, you stealing your jersey? Whoa! Oh! Oh boy. Yeah, I know. It should be a good game tonight. Yes, sir.
Don't be a bird brain. Get your Tauros gear the right way. Go to MinotaurosHockey.com and click on Online Store. From there, you can shop for jerseys, hats, t-shirts, hoodies, and more, all from the comfort of your own home. So go to GoTauros.com and click on the Online Store today.
Oh my.
Coming to you live from the Bonfire Studios North. It's another episode of Tauros Weekly. I'm your host, Peter Theodos. That's Ken Oda. I almost called you Peter there. Not even going to lie. So,
Not even
off to a
close.
hot start here on this new episode of Tauros Weekly. And Ken, a little of a frustrating weekend this past weekend in St. Cloud. Tauros come away with 2 points, but get it via the overtime loss both nights.
Bad starts and overtime penalties are not a good recipe.
No.
Fell down 2-0 both nights, fought back to force overtime, and both game winners in overtime were power play goals. So I think pretty easy question as far as what needs to get fixed for this weekend. You know, don't fall down 2-0, and
Yeah, that usually helps.
don't take penalties in overtime, and I think that'll straighten things out quite a bit.
Or late in the third,
Yeah.
which led to the penalties in overtime. But if you're the coaching staff, you got to be proud with the way the boys did fight back, though, in both the second and the third periods. It was completely night and day compared to what the team came out as in the first to what it was in the second and the third.
Yeah, you like that the guys didn't quit and still down 2-0 both nights, came back with at least a point. But I think if you asked Wags and Waz if you wanted to be down 2-0 to St. Cloud, they'd probably be pretty frustrated there as well.
Yeah.
Especially on Saturday night. I think, it's going to happen. St. Cloud's not nearly as bad as they were last year, right? They're a good hockey team now. So they're gonna get people, and falling down 2-0 on Friday with lackluster effort to start that game is not understandable, but it'll happen from time to time. I think what probably frustrated the coaching staff, and our guests can probably touch on it a little bit when we bring them on, I think probably what frustrated them was Saturday night coming out and having the exact same thing happen.
Yeah, and Friday you can kind of go, all right, little bit, maybe some not an early morning skate, so you get maybe some bus lag, an early skate kind of throwing off the routine.
And let's face it, with what St. Cloud was last year, I'm sure there's an attitude occasionally when you go in that building. We had never lost in that building. There's probably, at least for the veterans, a little bit of, this is St. Cloud. We don't have to We don't have to try as hard. You know? And I get that, getting the guys on Friday in the first period, but Saturday I think is the more frustrating loss if you're a Toro fan.
Yeah, so also, before we bring in our guests, the Dash Auction. This is the final days of the March Madness Dash Auction. Your first chance to get the game-worn tenure jerseys as well as the home and road jerseys. So make sure you head over to the dashapp.io and place your bids.
Yeah, we've got Hargindegi, home, road, and tenure. Dante Lawson, home, road, and tenure, and Jared Lambright, road and tenure, I believe.
Yep.
As well as some signed pucks. I think some former Toros are in there. I think, if memory serves, there's a Ben Garrity puck maybe.
And a Clevin.
A Clevin puck. So some Toros alum who are doing big things. I saw, congrats to, speaking of Ben Garrity, Wisconsin won the Big Ten in college hockey, so congrats to Benny there in his freshman year, picking up some hardware as part of the Badgers men's team. So a lot of good things going on right now. Yeah,
so let's go ahead and bring in our first guest. It's our Target Tuesday champ for his second time on Tours Weekly. Fans, let's welcome Christian Bubba Kadolph. Bubba, welcome to Tours Weekly.
Thanks for having me again.
And
I think we've talked about it before, but let's start right there. What's with the nickname Bubba? Where did that come from?
I remember I said it last time, but it came from an infant thing, chubby kid,
just
obviously.
A chunky baby.
Yeah, chunky, still chunky a little bit, working it out, but.
Wally Mock checking in real quick, saying kind of happy Bubba called someone out for Target Tuesday. And it's funny because we'll start there with Target Tuesday. Obviously, you're still the champ. Mm-hmm. You won this past week against Blaine. First time in Target Tuesday history where we had a double or nothing, which isn't saying much considering this is the first
year we're doing Target Tuesday. But Blaine was a little upset that you beat him and he wanted to go again, and that didn't work out for him either. And then you called out Wags.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
What was the thought process there? You just wanted to get a chance to show up the coaches, or what here?
Yeah, that's exactly what I want to do. I want to show everyone I hate losing, so might as well start at the top now.
Well, yeah, you've pretty much gone through the entire locker room. Now, obviously, there's been some changes between when we first started doing it, and those guys are pretty much gone compared to what's now. But what's it just been like, that experience been like, just going through and just winning so much?
It feels great, just because I know I put so much work into it, and it actually is coming to me now, and it feels great. So,
how much time do you spend in the shooting cage?
Every day. I'm there every day. At least 2 buckets at least. That's my goal. Over 200.
Tough weekend, as we talked about at the beginning of the show. 2 OT losses. But like we said, there was some good things. What did you guys see from the locker room that is good and you guys can carry over into this weekend against Bismarck?
Like you guys said, I think we battled back really well. I agree with our second and third period efforts. We were pretty good. We were unbeatable when we want to play, and we work hard, and we just got to be better off the start there. And obviously we got to just come together as a team and realize that we're a good team and we can beat teams like Aberdeen and Bismarck, and obviously we can beat St. Cloud. Like, we just got to know we can.
You guys haven't had a lot of time to get on the road. Finally got 3 weekends in a row on the bus. For Minnesota kids like yourself, how fun is it to get back into Minnesota, get to see some family, and play on the road?
It's awesome. The air there, too. It just smells like Minnesota. Like, I'm so used to it.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It's a great thing.
It's a
great thing. Yeah. No, it's awesome seeing family and friends like I did back in St. Cloud and even in Duluth. I saw my family, friends, and it's awesome just seeing them again and playing in front of them.
How tough has it been this year? First off, has your family been able to come to Minot very often to watch you play?
Yeah, they actually come very often. They are almost here every weekend. They love hockey. They love all the guys, and they take them as their kid as well. So
you started the season in Bismarck for training camp. Mm-hmm. Got chopped there, came up here. Looking forward to playing Bismarck this weekend?
Very. I'm excited to play them again. It's just another game though, and all the guys are hungry for a win and a sweep.
You know, the last time we played Bismarck, it was on New Year's Eve, which we had some 16-year-olds. We had some AP players playing in that game, so it was a very, very different roster compared to what it is now. You played that game, if memory serves correctly. Yep. How is it going to be getting back on the ice and knowing that this is a completely different team and a team that can definitely keep up with Bismarck?
I think it's going to be great. I think we're going to have so much confidence after this week, and we're going to realize that we are a good team, like I said before, and we're going to start rolling again. We just got to put our minds to it, put our noses down.
You mentioned getting rolling again. I think that's probably been, if anything, how this team has been. When things are good, things are really good, and we get hot and go on long streaks. Mm-hmm. But when things are bad, the team gets cold for a while as well. We've had some longer losing streaks. It's been a very streaky year. Have you guys talked about it? Have you guys worked out why that might be?
I mean, we talk to each other every day in the locker room, and we realize what needs to be done, and we work on it in practice. And sometimes we get into it with each other, but I think it just helps us obviously come together more and realize that we want to win.
You know, you've been one of the guys that has been here for pretty much the entire season. With all of these new faces, and you mentioned just coming together. They've been together since Christmas, so we're 3 months together with this roster. How has this roster come together, and how have you guys kind of gelled and become one?
It's came a long way. Whenever we want to hang out, we hang out, and when we want to get together, we get together. And it's came a long way since we've been here, obviously.
You're one of the guys. We have our defensive group is very young. Our forward group's a little bit older. You're one of the guys who's going to be able to come back the next couple of years here. What lessons are you learning from maybe some of the older players that you can take forward as you'll start to transition into more of a leadership role over the rest of this year and next year?
Mm-hmm. I've learned to be patient this year. This is probably one of the years that it's really hit me to be patient, and next year it's going to help me a long ways with the younger guys too, just being a leader and telling them, hey, it's going to come. You just got to put effort in and it'll come.
With you kind of being in and out of the lineup, how is also kind of just being in the stands, obviously playing, you get a lot of experience, but how have you also kind of been being able to sit up higher and watch everything?
Come on, Peter.
I caught that. What are you talking about? That's those quick reactions baseball player hands right there.
Yeah, right.
Thanks, Bubba.
But as Peter was alluding to, has the games where you're not in the lineup and you're sitting up in the stands, can you learn something while you're watching the game from higher up and you're maybe not as lost in the moment of trying to make that play at that time?
You sure can, and I'm pretty sure everyone can say that. Seeing it from the stands compared to the bench is unreal. Like, you can see so much more when you're standing as a fan, and obviously me as a teammate of theirs. And sometimes we go down in the locker room and say, hey, like, we can see this, and you guys got to do this and this and this, and it comes a long way.
Wally Mock checking in once again. Abby, his daughter, says hi to Bubba. So Abby says hi. Yeah, Abby says hi.
Hi, Abby.
Bubba, thanks for coming on the show. And another thing that we know our cameraman, Sean Bakoven, said is you are one of the best cameramen on the team. So I know
I don't know if that's a good thing or
while-
not, but
while
It's not a role you want to be in
no,
on most
but
game
while
nights,
it's
but
very fun to have you on the ice and watch you play, obviously we do like having you on camera.
obviously you could be good at both things, I guess. Be good at
Exactly.
the ice, and when you're not playing, you can be good at certain other things,
Exactly.
So if you beat Wags on Tuesday in Target Tuesday, have you thought about who you're calling out next?
I'm assuming Waz.
Okay,
Just-
going with
just-
both coaches.
yeah.
All right.
All right.
Might
I
as well
like it.
take them both down.
Fans, that is Christian Bubba Kadolph. Bubba, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having
Appreciate
me,
it,
you guys. Thank you.
bud. Always enjoyed to just have Bubba around.
Yeah, and he's going through. I have no doubt he's going to beat Wags and Waz because he's beaten everyone else. It's just, why not? And plus, Waz is a goalie.
Yeah. Fans, let's now welcome in our second guest of the evening, Mr. Cole Mickel. Cole, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
3 assists over the last 2 weekends. You're leading all Tauros defensemen on the season with 9
points.
or a goal and 9 assists, so 10 points.
No, actually, that's my fault. I put that wrong in the notes. It's 1 goal and 8 assists.
1 goal, 8 assists.
That one's on me.
I'll take the extra one. I'll take it if you want to give it to me.
But how have you adjusted to your first year here at junior?
Well, I mean, I've talked with Wags about it before. I mean, the start of the season, I came in, I was pretty weak, pretty new to the game of juniors. I was kind of getting thrown around. It's a whole different experience playing with grown men out there like Granis and Gormley on Bismarck and Chorsky on St. Cloud compared to guys in high school that were, still growing into their bodies, didn't really know what was going on out there. But it's just been a really good experience so far, getting used to the speed and the decision-making and kind of the strength of the game.
I mentioned with Bubba, we've got a young defense group. A lot of, I think, 4 0-2s back there. Another couple of 0-1s. Petey and Krull are the only 2 20-year-olds on the blue line, and Petey's been hurt quite a bit, so he hasn't been in the lineup. How much do those 2 20-year-olds help you guys out? They're junior vets, and they're in their last year. Are Petey and Krull helping you guys adjust?
They bring a lot of experience to the back end for us. I mean, in practice, they're giving us tips and showing us kind of the ropes of what they've learned through their years of playing juniors, and it goes a long way. Just kind of like Bubba talked about earlier, like our team's a very close-knit group, and guys are always there for each other, helping each other out on the ice, and Krull and Peter are a testament to that, of helping the D kind of, calm their nerves as younger guys on the back end playing against teams that are pretty good, like Aberdeen and Bismarck, and kind of just making sure that we're comfortable back there and have a good style of play back there.
Bubba mentioned the ability to see more when you're up in the stands. How much do, especially since Petey's been out hurt, how much do they come down, whether it's Petey or some of the other young guys, how much do you guys come down between intermission and say, hey, they're doing this, you've got to make this adjustment?
Pretty decent amount. I mean, Petey's in there every game, just kind of being Petey. I mean, you guys know how he is, but he's in there razzing everybody up, trying to get everybody fired up. But he's got some good points too when he comes down and tells us what he sees up there. And even Bubba comes down and talks to us and lets us know what's going on and what he sees, which, I mean, obviously it's a vantage point that we don't get to have on the ice because he can see everything going on rather than just if we're in the corner, we only see what's in the corner and what's kind of right next to us. So it's a good thing, and it's huge for guys to come in and let us know what they're seeing because it's a different perspective that we don't know.
You mentioned something in your first statement about how you've been talking to Wags and how you had that adjustment of getting used to just a bigger man's game. What have just been some lessons that you've learned, whether it's from watching film or being in game, that you've had and are able to put into your game now?
Learned a lot to move my feet. Kind of at Culver, I got away with using my hands a little bit more and not really moving my feet because I was one of the bigger guys. Guys kind of stayed away from me a little bit, but here I got to move my feet to get out of trouble, move my feet to make plays. Play defense is huge to keep my feet moving instead of reaching, so I'm not taking penalties. And kind of in practice, like Waz has been helping me a lot of going over kind of film before and then going into practice and implementing what we talked about of not reaching, moving my feet, kind of getting on guys faster, when to stay back, when to push, stuff like that. So
Having both Wags and Waz as the coaches, Waz being a former goalie, so he kind of, while he didn't play defense, he knows how defensemen should be lined up. And then obviously with Wags having been a professional defenseman, how have they kind of helped you in watching film and all that?
It's been huge. Like, I'm able to go up to the coach's office and talk to them about, like, hey, can I go over film from this weekend? I want to look at this play and kind of get your advice of what I should do differently because, I got beat out of the corner on this play. How do I come at this guy and take the right angle, or what should I be doing there? And it's great experience getting advice from Wags, who knows what it takes to get to the next level, and Waz, who knows where D should be in front of the goalie. So I'm not just getting strictly a defenseman's viewpoint. I'm getting a goalie's view who, like, he knows what Rance and Clafton want in front of them, so it helps us help them, because if they're clicking on all cylinders, it helps the whole team click and get going.
You mentioned your time at Culver. What was the experience like, going away from home and going to the military academy in Indiana?
Oh, my first year was a complete circus. I mean, there was plenty of phone calls of, I want to go home, I don't want to be here. But overall, it was an amazing experience. Wouldn't trade it for the world. It was an awesome place. Made a lot of lifelong friends, lifelong memories. Kind of got me the experience I needed to make the decision for college of if I was actually ready for that or not, if that's what I wanted to do. And it was great because not only is it a great hockey school, it's a great academic school. So I was able to get one of the top educations in high school in the country.
And they produced a handful of players as well. Former Toro Johnny Walker was a Culver guy.
You mentioned your college commit. You are committed to the Air Force Academy. How did Culver kind of help you make that decision that you wanted to continue going to a military academy?
So at Culver, we have what's called military mentors. So it's guys that have served in the military that are on campus that kind of help us out and teach us the ropes and make sure we're staying in line and everything, and check our haircut, our shave, all the little things. But talking to them of like, what did you do? What advice do you have? Like, what's it like compared to this? Just kind of that experience of getting their firsthand experience, and then kind of actually living the life of, making my bed every morning, cleaning my room, putting on the uniform, marching, saluting, all that stuff. And it was really good of kind of getting that experience of getting my toes in the water, of testing it to make sure, like, all right, do I actually want to, like, get into formation every day and have to salute all the officers and everything? But yeah, it was awesome.
You got to be happy to be here because obviously you don't have to shave now.
Oh,
you got a little peach fuzz going there.
Yeah.
You mentioned having those mentors there on campus. I remember you and Reed Bogenholm were two guys who hung out. Reed's also an Air Force commit. Hung out with Clint Romachet a little bit after he came to speak to the team. What was your reaction to having him come and talk to the group?
It was awesome. I mean, I had heard of Clint before, just kind of through stories, and one of my military mentors at Culver actually had mentioned him because they had heard when I got drafted here to Minot, they actually sent me an email saying that there's a Medal of Honor winner in Minot. So they had sent me a story, and I read about it, and then actually had seen his episode on Netflix of Medal of Honor. So I kind of heard his story, and I thought it was awesome that he was able to come in and share that, because it's not every day that you get to hear those kind of stories, and it doesn't just connect with guys like Reed and I who are going to be maybe in that position one day or not, but it connects with everybody else because it's a story that everybody can get behind, of teamwork and not giving up and fighting through adversity, whether you want to or not, like kind of pushing to the end, because you never know what can happen.
You were also able to speak with him afterwards. You and Reed were. What did you guys talk about? What was said, and what advice did he give you?
Well, at first, Reed and I were kind of like just in awe of, like, wow, this guy's actually here. Like, this guy knows everything. And so we talked to each other, and we were like, we should probably ask him like some advice of like what to expect. So we wanted to talk to him and kind of pick his brain about like what's his biggest advice going into the military, what were his biggest takeaways, if he could change anything about any part of his military career, what would he change, and everything like that, just to make sure like we kind of have a little bit of an advantage over other people of knowing exactly like kind of what we're looking for and what we need to do to make sure that we succeed in that portion of our lives. So I mean, it was a huge takeaway for both Reed and I, because it kind of gave us a more in-depth look of what we're going to expect for the next 4 or 5 years.
Did he give you any grief for going to the Air Force?
Oh yeah, there's definitely a few. There's definitely a few Chair Force comments thrown in there, but he did say that if it wasn't for them, they wouldn't have all the support that they did. So,
Cole, we appreciate you coming on the show. Good stories there. And best of luck this weekend.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Fans, that is Cole Mickel, defenseman for the Tauros.
Yeah, that'll just about do it. We've got a big weekend to get ready for. Bismarck here on Friday night, pack the Pepsi night, and then we head down the road to Bismarck, another home and home with those guys. And it's actually the last time we have to go down to the VFW, and I am excited about that.
I'm excited, but also it's one of those road trips where that drive is horrible, but at least it's just an hour and a half. That's the nicest road trip we have. And it's just the drive is miserably boring.
And Andrew does a good job down there, their media guy. He takes good care of us in the press box, but the view from there is just terrible. I'd much rather call a game from
Anything else you'd like to say about
the
them?
Wilderness. It's a good group down there. I like their front office. I can't see the game where I'm standing, so half the play-by-play is just me guessing. But
all right, so if you watch the broadcast this weekend, it may be right, it may be wrong. Ken Oda does not know. Fans, we will not have an episode next week as the Tauros head down to Aberdeen
on Wednesday.
So until 2 weeks, I guess.
Yeah, 2 weeks from today.
You can catch Ken Oda maybe on the broadcast this weekend.
I'll be there. I won't be able to see anything, but I'll be there.
For Sean Bachov, and that's Ken Oda. I'm Peter Theodis. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Christine Mickel, Cole, we miss you, buddy.
Yeah, I'm going to get a shout out to all my friends watching back home, but I forgot to do it.
Shut up and sit down.